Hey guys, Luantha here, aka Lance at 634, and this is League of Legends patch 914. As always, have not read the patch notes prior to recording, nor have I looked at the PBE or surrender at 20. Got a little bit of things on Twitter this time, but otherwise this is just a genuine reaction and analysis, and I've been told, and just looking at this, it's a doozy. So we're going to run really fast through this. I apologize if we jump over some things that seem to be important. There's just a lot of stuff in this patch, and I don't think you guys want to watch an hour-long patch note video, so we're just gonna jump into it. Counters that will be added to the game: anti-shielding, anti-healing, flat damage reduction, improvements to true sight mechanics, anti-mobility. Okay, so they're looking for more counter picks. Interesting. Demacia, Vice, Garen, and Lucian skins? Cool. They look like it's like the Rush Hour skins almost. I think there's another show they're based off of, but I think is it Miami Vice? Not sure. I'm so culturally unprepared for life. All right, moving on. TFT patch notes. Just a shout out. I do have another video for that. If you want to look at just TFT, check out my other video. And we'll skip over that now. Anti-shielding champions. Blitzcrank. EMP. His Stagfield now removes shields on enemies before its other effects. Oh, so it removes and then damages and then silences. Oh boy. So you could R a Mork shield, knock it off, and then pull. Ooh. Okay, cool. Renekton W. Destroys existing shields and targets when empowered with 50 Fury before its existing effects. Okay, so again, this can be used to break a black shield. Janna shield, but it has to be empowered. At least it has to be empowered. So two soft counters, well, solid counters for shielding. Anti-healing. Katarina Death Lotus is 60% healing reduction now. Interesting. Tank Kata, pro play, please. Kled W now pulls. Pull now applies healing reduction. Pulls an enemy, all healing on them by 60% for 5 seconds. Nice. Passive damage reduction. Fizz now has a AP scaling with a max of 50% reduction. Okay, at least there's a max on it. Instead of flat against basic attack, it's all source of damage. Fizz is going to be nuts. This is awesome for Fizz. I mean, it's 100 AP for 1 point, so that's a little tough. But that's awesome. Because if you hit, 800 AP, it's 12. So it's less, not as, it's not as good late. But it should be a better early game buff. We'll see how that shakes out. But I think Fizz is going to be pretty good. Leona. Flat damage reduction. Eclipse now grants pre-mitigation damage reduction. Ooh. So it's applying armor and magic resist, and then they've reduced the armor and magic resist her W gives, so it's less impacted by shredding effects is what this means, which is really good. And then her R, she no longer gets empowered basic attacks. Nobody used that really, so nobody cares. But that's cool for the W. You just get to be tankier, more permanent. It's like a quarter of an Alistar, I guess. Still good. True Sight champions. W now reveals successfully rooted targets for the duration of the root. So it's only for the duration of the root and when you've rooted them. So, small buff. LeBlanc, her chains also root targets for the duration of the root. Okay. Soul Shackles, same thing. Okay, so it's all of the chaining effects that have this. Solid, good. I like it. Not really too game changing here. Anti-mobility, Ari Charm, bonus damage duration's 3 seconds now. Alright, fine, whatever, you blow them up anyways. Stop in the name of love. Charm now cancels in progress stashes. That used to be on Ari, I believe. Way back in like season 3 or 4. And she was really good. And right now, I think she's really good. And this is going to make her even better. I really think Ari's going to be high tier pick in pro play. She's going to be hovering 54, maybe 55 in solo queue now. This is so good. So good. And it's highly abusable by pro players. So keep a lookout on that. Also, shout out to Ari's support. Cancel dashes now. I'm gonna play it. Alright, Cassiopeia can now buffer her ability casts. Okay, that's good for her. More health regen, lower mana, more mana growth, lower armor. Maximum cast range is lowered. Good, it was obnoxious already. It has no minimum cast range. Awesome also. And the cooldown is higher at max ranks and lower at the end game. Twin Fang heals for safe 5% when she poisons minions and small monsters. Okay, so she can't heal on a wave anymore. And the heal is percentage of her ability power. Huh. I like that. That's going to be probably a higher base healing, lower late healing, maybe. And her mana cost at all ranks is 50. Okay, this is really cool. I think she's going to be a monster late game, but she's going to have terrible early to mid, so she might not see pro play anymore still with us. But she might get top play out of this, too. Who knows? Cass is weird. She's a weird snake. Poppy. Crash into hello. Poppy stops an enemy with a dash or casting movement ability. She grounds and slows them. Movement speed durations lost a half second, and the bonus movement speeds increase. Poppy's broken. This is ridiculous. No lie, like, you can't do anything after you get your dash canceled now. So, like, oh my goodness. This is super pro viable. This is gonna be probably pick ban. And it's gonna be so good in solo queue. Just because you can just stand on someone and they're dead. Basically, that's what you're telling me is. Your escapes don't matter, you're dead. Alright, now we're finally in a champion balance. Holy moly. It's going to be a bit. R no longer revives Aatrox, and amplified self-healing's increased, cooldown decreased. Oh man. Base health regen increased. No longer earns a revive through kills. It feels like they're taking away part of Aatrox's identity, not going to lie. He's always had the revive, and now it feels like it's gone. I mean, it's a lot of power that they had to balance around that they get to now shift, which you see it in the amplified healing and the cooldown. So now he's just a monstrosity fighting, and I like that he at least can die. I don't really... There's no win in this situation. They left it on, he's too strong, it's impossible to balance. If they take it off, it doesn't feel like the old champion anymore. So... leave it to Aatrox, be possible to balance, like he's been his entire, champion career. Akali's back on the list with some base changes. She has more MR and health growth to survive lane. Her Q ratio is increased, and her W is now invisibility, revealed by true side effects rather than only her outline, so she can be targeted. Lower cooldown, and it's a constant cooldown, so it's not spammable late game. And energy restore is maxed at all ranks. And she lost her duration extender from basic attacks or abilities. This is entirely based off of keeping consistency for Akali. There's a lot of inconsistency in how much downtime it was when you could attack her and she can just wail on you. Now it's going to be very even. There's going to be legit counters. Karma, LeBlanc, Morgana, the ones we saw just a little bit ago. Hard smash this because they can now. They can just walk into the invisibility, press R, press E, press Q, press W. E sure can flip, gets less base damage, less total attack damage, but now it's AP ratio. Oh baby. And the dash damage, so after she hits it, is less AD, but it has AP. So, okay, so this is embracing the hybrid. Gunblade loves this. I like it. It goes back more to what she originally was, which was a hybrid assassin. I don't like the dash damage because you already hit the skill shot. This is just guaranteed front-loaded damage, but I'm glad that they, nerfed the base damage so Tank Akali doesn't become a problem. And then her ult cooldown increased at early, mid, and late. I'm down. Yeah. Sounds good. I mean, this just gives her a lot of clear counterplay timings and downtimes. It might actually pull her out of pro play pick ban finally. We'll see. It's going to be a terror in solo queue with that E change. But, you know, all's fair in love and war and Akali, as balance dictates. Alistar gets base mana and more mana growth, and I hate this change because he's just obnoxious to play. I don't like Alistar's kit. I don't like how his playstyle is. And if there's more changes, you'll hear this from me again. Don't think he needs it, but it might bring him back into... Well, it's going to be huge for solo queue. Pro play probably won't impact, but he's already good in pro play, so whatever. Aesol. Maximum stun duration increased for his Q. Minimum stun duration is the same. Star growth, radius growth increased by 33%. Comet of Legend E, maximum bonus movement speeds is based off a level, not... Oh, Aesol buffs. Where's Huhi? Tell him to get out of support and start playing mid again, because oh my god, Aesol. I mean, this is huge. This is, if they don't nerf this before Worlds, Aesol's going to definitely win a couple Worlds games based off of these changes. This is so good. It's highly reliable, long CC now. And just movement speed based off a level. You don't have to level up E, which you weren't anyways. So good for him. I like it. Bard, base health regen down, good. His E travel speed is a little faster. Ally bonus speed is just 33% on all ranks. Good, because you're just, you know, whatever, doing you just do your thing, and that's your last rank up. So overall, solid buffs for Bard. Could see him in pro play with some of these changes too. G2, I'm looking at you. Let's abuse some E on Bard. Get some magical journeys on. Diana. So Diana, she got a little bit of power, which I have played a couple games on it, and it feels good. It feels really good. It feels Season 2 good. And that's not good for win rates, because she's at 54, I think, which is very hard to pick counter picks into Diana. So the arc speed's down and the outer arc speed's down, so it's easier to dodge because you can hit it all the time, basically at this point. Passive no longer applies to turrets. Her W, more mana late game, and her Lunar Rush can no longer be reset twice. That's a bug. Okay. This is a lot of power in Diana's kit, and I'm sad because she never hit pro play with all this power. And she probably won't hit pro play now that these changes are in. And this is going to probably drop her from 54 down, probably in the 50s, which is where she belongs, so no hard feelings. It's fun while it lasted. Gallia gets 20 more mana growth, and oh dear goodness, why is there a wall of text? Cooldown on passive is down, the damage is up at all ranks, and there's an AD ratio now. And a magic resist ratio is increased, and the AP ratio is the same. Cooldown is no longer reduced every time he hits a unique enemy champion. Okay, so you can't just smash a bunch of times. That's cool. But it's 5 seconds, so that's nuts. Winds of War, cooldown is up at all ranks. Gust damage is base damage up 10 at all ranks, and the cost is down. So that's a buff to Gallia support. Which doesn't need it, but it's a thing. W cannot flash while channeling Shield of Durand. Alright, Gallia support's dead. Never mind. Shield of Durand can now be interrupted by all the usual CC effects that interrupt channels. Self-slow is a lot less. Okay. Never mind. Forget what I said. He can't be played as support. He's like this weird tank top mid lane mess thing right now. He's going to be good in pro play. Maybe. I don't know anymore. It's Gallia. He's a mess. Jen, cooldown on W down 2 seconds, and that's at all ranks, folks. That's pretty good. The root duration up a quarter second at all ranks, which is interesting because Jin's at about 50 right now. This is probably going to put him in the 51 range. And ideally we see him in pro play again. The problem is tanks aren't Jin's friend, so we'll have to play around with it and see. Overall, Jin getting a buff, and it's because he just hasn't been seen as much. Here's the Lux nerfs, and I know they're nerfs because she's been strong for a while. Cooldown increased Q, and it's based off of rank now. The cost is 50 at all ranks instead of scaling up, so that's a little bit of, it still hurts early game with support Lux. W is the same as outgoing, so it still stacks, but it's not double the outgoing. It's got a little more AP scaling, so there's a little more reactionary W. But the max shield's down a lot of base shielding, so you really have to go mid lane, full AP Lux. You can't be playing the support Lux. Shield duration's down, yeah. They basically are just gutting support Lux here. The ratio on the R is now 1.0 though, and the cooldown is back to 40 seconds at rank 3. I don't care if the reset is gone. That's a 1.0 ratio on an R. She might be viable as a mid laner in pro play with these changes, because you play around the cooldown, the mana cost doesn't really hurt you, you get blue buff, and then this R is nutty. Look for Froggen to pull us out. He might actually do it for us. We'll have to see. Malphite. So new visual effects. He's slightly smaller at the start of the game, and his size now increases with his armor, capping around 850. Okay, I love it. That's awesome. That's very unique and something that I wish League did more of, because it makes champions feel more unique. Shield regeneration visual effects is added. That's cool. Improved cast animation for Q for most skins. Now spawns his rock 100 units in front of him rather than at his center point. At least that's consistent now. And then the slow is a little bit higher, and the slow duration is lower. Less of a rundown tool, more of a instant slow. Overall, I mean, it's also 100 units in front of him, so that means it hits faster. That's a big note. Your cast, and when it hits, is a little faster. So that slow duration is actually more like 3.5 versus 4, compared to the reactions previously. His W now costs more mana. Next basic attack gains 50 range and deals extra damage based off of AP and armor as bonus physical. Next 5 seconds after casting, his basic attacks cleave enemies in the cone in front of him, dealing bonus damage. Wow. That's interesting. I mean, this just solidifies him as being literally a Malphite. Well, I mean, it is Malphite. I meant Rammus. Malphite Rammus are like hard destroyers of AD, and I'm excited to see all AD comps getting a Malphite picked into them, because it's going to be fun. Next up is Mordekaiser, and he got nerfed last patch already, and he's getting another nerf here and base damage on his passive. And his E is losing magic penetration. Interesting. I think this basically eliminates him from pro play. There's just no stats to back up the damage. I mean, ult's amazing. It's so cool. And I mean, pro players are still going to find a way to abuse it, but the damage numbers just aren't there. He's quickly falling into the previous Mordekaiser's issue of bounced around pro play, 46% win rate in solo queue, garbage in solo queue. Hopefully this turns around, but this isn't looking good for our boy Morty. Nidalee, her E swipe got extra 10 damage. How much impact does this really have? It's very minimal. Is it a buff? Yes. Is it going to really put Nidalee anywhere? Probably not. Expect like a 1/4% increase. Pike changes. So they gutted Pike last patch, and now they are going to rebuff because they overgutted him. His E now stuns non-champions but deals no damage. Okay, they titled it Danny Phantom. That's awesome. Um, the stun's cool, I guess. It lets him use it as an escape tool instead of just like aggroing all the minions and dying to them as he's running away. So it's something, I guess. You can slow away from hitting, crashing into a tower too. R deals 50% reduced damage to enemies that survive it. Interesting. So it does half damage if they survive. When he kills an enemy from death from below, the last assisting ally and Pike are granted your cut. So now Pike gets the your cut. Okay. When Pike assists on a kill following death from below, he receives 2 of your cuts. And the thought process here is if he kills, it resets and you get assist at some point. Oh, baby. That's nutty. Death from Below's icon now shows next to Pike's health bar when it can be cast for free. Okay, cool. Being able to see that he got the reset is going to be nice, instead of just having to call it out. Interesting changes. Again, support Pike is the only way to go. Top Pike died. Thanks a lot, G2. Rise. They did a lot of changes to him. That was basically a rework. They aren't calling it a rework. But here's some more tuning up for him. And a bunch of bug fixes. Faker, your Rise is back. Riot called they want you at Worlds. Singe change. Recast timer is now ½ second, so you can't just instant toggle Q on and off. And the poison chill is going to be a little brighter. Cool. It's actually going to injure Singe a really high win rate, so no qualms with that. Swain. Swain has a health growth down, attack range is down. Ooh, that attack range hurts a lot. Ravenous Flock stole soul charges, permanently restores them. Oh. Increasing max health by 5 per soul fragment. So he's like, we've got ourselves another Viger Nasus. Oh man. And Thresh. Correcting soul fragment restores his mana. That's nuts. That's so good. Okay. So he's super sustained. This is awesome for top lane. Killing a target no longer restores 3% of his max mana. Okay. I mean, yeah, he's got the shards now. Bolts always continue through minions, but stop on impact the champion. Okay. Still very good. Very good. The cooldown is increased at all ranks. The range is decreased. The angle between the bolts is higher. So that's a nerf also. So this is a straight up nerf on the Q. R costs 100 mana now. Awkward. Bonus health is down, but +5 per soul fragment. Minion and monster healing reduction, 90%. So you can't just heal off a minion wave. Drains all enemies within range, including invisible units. And it's Giga Drain XD, Pokemon reference there. And then R. Second cast, health threshold no longer needs to restore health to cast it. He can cast it immediately. Oh god. So you can just RR. I would not be surprised if they do a change next patch where they make it a lockout so people don't accidentally RR and lose their ult when they don't mean to. Like there being like a quarter-second lockout or something, just to prevent that. And then the damage is 75% of the health Swain has drained during it, and magic damage up to a cap. And the minimum damage is there, and the maximum damage is there. I mean, okay, he's very reliant on these soul fragments. It'll be interesting to see how effective he is at getting them. It's just gonna be like Vigar and Nasus though. It's gonna be how effective are you at getting them, and then how effective are they? My initial thoughts are they're pretty effective here, depending on their drop rate. 5 max health per soul fragment, and you just like get a ton of max health. Swain jungle, anybody? Cinder Hulk Swain jungle? Maybe? We'll see. Silas changes. God, Silas, you need to find a way to get off these patch notes. I swear. You're always on these. Passive damage reduced to minions is down, so that's a buff. His Q is increased by a little bit of base damage and AP, so he's got a little more Q poke. His E now shields himself against all magic damage for 2 seconds on cast. Interesting. So he gets a magic shield. which, you know, fits lore so well. I like it. Cooldown's now just set, and the abduct stun duration's a lot lower. Okay, this is good. This feels a little more in line with his lore, and it makes it a little. There's a lot more counterplay. His cast range on his R is lower. The ultimate hold duration's lower. The cooldown on his ultimate, oh my goodness. That mid game spike is down bad now, and the late game even, wow. And then the scaling 0.4 to 1.0, 0.6 to 1.0. Okay, so they're just hard nerfing the ultimate to give him more power in his E and Q and passive. Good, because he was the most R loaded champion, which he should be, but people are learning his ult, and now this is going to be a little less abusable. Pro play can play around this, and I think pro play is going to love it because they're going to be all over it. But that R change hurts. Tahm Kench. Some of the things that make Tahm Kench unnecessary frustrating playing against, no like CC that plays bonus lane is Q's, large, melee hitbox, and he wants to devour buffs. Okay, Tahm Kench, you're just never satisfied, are you? Abilities no longer deal bonus magic damage based on passive stacks. Okay, cool, whatever. Abilities no longer apply an acquired taste stacks. Okay. On hit damage, instead of 1.5%, it's 2.5% at any number of stacks. Okay, so he's just better at he's better at skirmishing now and less at long trades. Cooldown on his Q is higher at max ranks. No longer hits enemies in a wide arc in front of him on cast. Okay, so you can easily dodge if it's point blank. That's good. Just think of like Olaf Axe, I guess. Stunning an enemy with Tongue Lash consumes all stacks of acquired taste. Good. The slow is a whopping 20% lower. And the duration's a little longer. Stun duration's longer. Interesting things. Tahm Kench feels really abusable, and I feel like this can be pretty heavily abused still. But there is a little more counterplay in this than what it used to be. W. Enemies are no longer nearsighted when devoured. Okay, that's just annoying that was happening. So I remember that. But cool change. You're able to pay attention to fights and see what's going on, and figure out how you're going to get out if you're not going to just instantly die. Enemies are no longer stunned for a quarter second after they're regurgitated. Die because of that. Damage ratio is now 11% of target's max health flat, so there's no reason to max W anymore. Maximum monster damage is 500, and he can now devour and regurgitate blue and red. So they're really pushing this Tahm Kench jungle thing, because they gave him 100 more max monster damage. Interesting. I'd be down for Tahm Kench jungle. Gray health is lower of the damage he takes. Gray health heal, 75% of gray health at all ranks. Oh, that's a lot. He really wants to skirmish. Cooldown, 3 seconds when thick skill expires. So it's when it expires, not when you cast. So you can't just abuse thick skin. Okay. I like it. I really, really, really think Tahm Kench jungle might actually be viable. It's going to be a really bad early game. But the middle to late, with the mobility he provides with Zar, those could be some sick ganks. Urgot. W purge recast timer is now a half second. A little faster toggling. That's cool. I'm fine with that. Yuumi changes. Opening her early game weakness to reduce her presence in pro play. These changes cut her very early lane poke dominance while buffing her late lane scrapping. Alright, so they're going to smack the shield on passive. Solid. She no longer restores mana when she hits an enemy with an empowered basic attack. Solid. Her Q mana cost is up at all ranks, and the damage at rank 1 is down and does not catch up until rank never. Basically, there's more. Is there more scaling there? No, there isn't. So they just gutted 10 damage off her Q, but she did get a little more AP, so she's gonna get scarier later. And I love this change in ARAM. Not gonna lie, Yuumi and ARAM's dumb. Ranged top laners. Dominant pick because, you know, they're ranged and they're top and they smash. So they're gonna smack Jace. He's losing 480, but he's got 0.7 more scaling. Okay. Q damage is increased with bonus attack damage and lower at early. Basically what you're telling me is they wanted to take the bully out of Jace for 5 levels and then make him absurd. Get ready for NA Jace to lose worlds again, boys. Because it's gonna happen. I can already feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Kennen losing, I mean, that's a clean number there. Fixed. So 2.5 attack damage. The growth stats increased. Attack speeds down. Rip Reckless. Can't play AD Kennen anymore. And then his E Lightning Rush. Speed up's up 10%. Attack speed on his E. So they shifted the attack speed over to his E. But that's big because it's not a base attack speed. So all the attack speed modifiers are now reduced. So AD Kennen's pretty close to dead now. Overall, this makes him a little bit better to poke out a lane though too. So, and a little hard to CS on. Gotta mention that. And Nico, less AD. Attack damage growth is a little bit higher. Attack speed's down. Attack speed growth is a little higher also. And again, all these champions are getting hit early, so the first 5, 6, 7 levels aren't so lane dominant because they're pushing everything out of top lane. Passive no longer loses disguise when basic attacking enemy champions. Cool, I like that change. That's gonna really confuse some people in solo queue. W bonus movement speed is lost 10%, not halved, lost 10%. Good change. Again, these are to counter the bullying that these champions are doing in top lane. I approve of them all. Oh boy, ARAM changes. Nerfs to Corki, Alawi, Jarvan, Kled, Nami, Tryndamere, Urgot, Volley. Alright, so again, these are a lot of tanks actually. Very interesting that they're hitting this many tanks. And again, they nerfed Corki because they gave him increased package last patch. And buffs. Akali is getting another buff. And the damage taken is where to go with that. There's so many things wailing on her. Plus, she lost her invisibility. She's never going to be invisible in this. She's going to be probably garbage fire in ARAM. Alistar. I don't like Alistar changes. I'm surprised Mumu didn't hit this list because Mumu's disgusting. Qiyana got a buff. Jace got a buff. Jace got a buff. Silas got a buff, Syndra got a buff, Talon got a buff, Trundle and Yuumi. Wow, I'm surprised at some of these buffs. These all feel like they're buffs of stronger champions. The new death recap is live. Includes damage type, breakdowns, fight duration, CC duration. Clicking the recap will allow you to expand it and see additional details on damage sources. We will still have more improvements planned in the future, so stay tuned. So, it only took, what, 7, 8, 9 years for them to upgrade Death Recap? It was broken when they launched it in, you know, beta or whatever. So it's about time, but, you know, it's right, breaking down the memes. You better get your short list out, because they're coming for it. Show ally chat. New option that will allow you to mute all of your allies' chats. So you can mute not only all but allies now too, so you can't just get flamed by your teammates and tilt out of games. I saw this on Twitter, and it's very important to note that 90% of players, that's a better decision, is removing your chat box entirely. So doing this change where you don't show allied or all, removing it entirely, 90% of players in the game of League of Legends will improve. Because you don't have that chat box of someone tilting you, or just even the distraction. So just consider that if you're really trying to hard climb. Taking away the chat box can do you wonders. Of course, post-game lobby's there, so you gotta deal with that. But, you know, you can just play again right away and not see any of it. Haha. Bug fixes. Qiyana, Galio, Corki passive. Rammus, Lucian's R. Vision score now properly updates on the Vision Trinkets tooltip. Thank God. That one's been annoying me as a support main for patches. Patches and patches. Again, upcoming skins are the Demacia Vice skins for Garen and Lucian, with, of course, chromas. And we finally made it through patch 9.14, folks. Huge patch, and disclaimer from Riot is they're looking to do this is their last big shift before Worlds, actually. Everything else after this should be minor changes, pushes in the right direction, pickups of some really weak champions. But the goal is that this is the primary meta for Worlds now. And it's really interesting because I think the lane bully top lane that's been there is going to shift away, because you're going to lose 6 levels of damage probably on all those champions. I think Jace might be a little overtuned for late game. Wait and see on that. But I think you'll see a lot more tank top. I think you'll see a lot more tank jungle even. But I think it's going to be I think the game may see a slower turn there. But the other problem is that the plates are incentivizing early game. So I don't think it's going to hard push bullies. I think people are going to have, you're going to have the choice of bullies or tanks, and you're going to sacrifice some gold on the tower. But it's not going to be a total destroyer of the game anymore, which is what they're going for. So let me know if you think that is a valid statement on that. I mean, we'll see with the upcoming pro plays. I'm sure it's going to be about a week or two before pro even sees this on the circuit. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be doing this along with TFT patch notes separately now because they're separate patches. But hopefully this is the last big patch until preseason. But until next time, I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching.